Alright, I will hop right into the pick and ban and try to get
Loss
a good
record
analysis
with
done.
this iteration, of mostly this players in this organization.
Alright, so yeah, firstly you would expect the Syndra ban and the Nidalee ban. It's been like that for almost throughout all worlds. Syndra is banned according to her immense laning power. You could just apply too much pressure, so banning her is pretty obvious. And Nidalee simply because of her way too high jungle pressure. So these two picks should be off the board like really soonish. Um, yeah, then it depends. Like I think that there will be more jungle bans. It makes sense. The jungle pool has been really small, and by banning more junglers, you can control the game relatively nice. While playing against Faker means that you kind of need to respect his lane, and Samsung has been trying to work through mid and especially mid and bot lane, um, trying to at least keep mid lane kind of in check while making pressure on bot lane. Um, so I'm expecting more jungle bans and maybe something to target Faker a little bit. Um, yeah, if any support bans, which are likely to happen. The Karma is like the central pick for support. I think I'm not quite sure. I think Karma and Braum have been the most common bot lane picks, and Karma has only had a lower pick rate or an even pick rate according to her being banned so often because she's just like she offers so much offensive potential at the same time while giving defensive potential too. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
They need
I
to
actually
beat
haven't
that
even
record
seen the
right
game
now if you
because
want to
I
take the
saw
championship.
I saw SKT going 2-0 and then I went to bed, so I wasn't even expecting a fifth game to happen. So it's kind of funny and I'm satisfied about the task. I like it a lot. Yeah, the Nidalee ban is kind of to be expected, and seeing the bans from the last game shows that Nidalee and Syndra have been banned from all like from before too, and it's yeah, it was really to be expected. So yeah, that's pretty obvious.
19 straight games.
There's the target ting banning. Faker Rice has been a relatively common ban, and it makes a lot of sense against Faker too. Faker liked to play Rise a lot, and he's an extraordinary good Rise player, so it makes a lot of sense banning him. So.
Before taking them down in the gauntlet to make it here. Every single step of the way from KT Rolster to this very game, Samsung have overcome the challenges.
So for SKT, I would suppose or suggest banning something in jungle, because they want the jungle control. They have in my opinion, a little weaker bot lane, so they want to pick a strong bot lane with their controlling jungler. Um, so they have pressure for bot lane and are able to secure that lane because it's been their weakest lane throughout the whole World
This is the
Championship. So
last
maybe
one.
target ban a
Syndra,
jungler.
Rise.
Banning Zyra. I don't like the Zyra ban to be honest. Like I know it has been like rising up a lot in the uh, pick and ban, like going towards the finals, especially with the misfortune right Zyra counter. It went down a little bit again after misfortune really working great against Zyra. I don't know if it's necessary. CoreJJ likes to play Zyra, but I feel like they could have probably target banned a jungle pick a little better, taking out more options from Samsung. Um, yeah, I feel like maybe banning Lee Sin or Olaf would have made a lot of sense because the jungle pool is so small. I mean, what has been played? There was, let me see, Elise, which I would not expect right here. It's too pick potential orientated. It doesn't work with the Korean like final style. I mean, it's a world final. They want to pick something that can play good in early game and still scale well into late game. They don't want something that falls off extremely hard in the late game, or I wouldn't expect something like that. So Elise is pretty much off the board. So what is to be expected is Lee Sin and Olaf. Um, they could have like just forced Samsung on a jungle pick here and maybe banning Lee Sin or Olaf. Uh, they would have known exactly what they would pick, so that could have made a lot of sense. Um, by probably banning Olaf, forcing them on the Lee Sin pick, and then they could have picked something more cheesy, Zac, and then maybe Poppy top lane, which would have made a lot of sense. So I'm not
Italy,
quite sure
Zyra.
about that ban,
What is next
even
to be
though
banned?
this
Olaf
has
still up
become
there.
a relatively standard
Something that we've
ban,
seen a couple of times as well.
those draws.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
just
I'm expecting another support ban
so
now.
in awe of this series right
Which is like banning the Zyra means the strongest range supports now is Karma and Nami. Karma is the standard pick, so I'm expecting that to be banned so that there's no standard supports or two standard ranged supports on the board anymore. And yeah, I'm expecting a Karma
now,
ban,
but that is multiple mid lane bans from
even
Samsung,
though they could
and there is no way they can
obviously to
necessarily
ban oh it's Karma ban, but they could have banned a jungler too, meaning Olaf or Lee Sin, and then they would have had the other option for themselves. Um, so yeah, it's like it's more standard than you could have expected. Um,
ban out the Olaf and the Lee Sin. Would be
so
very curious
I
to
would have
see
preferred something
if
like
they ban the Olaf here,
more
because there's a
targeting,
lot
not
of being
too
banned
like
already.
standard ban focus. They
It's
have
gonna
the
be a
first
pretty
pick,
scary
so
pick.
Throw the
I'm not
Victor,
too sure
throw the
about the
Victor,
Karma
make
ban.
him play
Karma
the
would have been a good first
Cassiopeia.
pick, really secure lane.
Faker Orianna into Cassiopeia is a better matchup than Orianna into the Victor.
Yeah, that's
Still
just
scared of their real
what I mean. This is a target ban. Like they have struggled against Aurelion Sol before, and they don't really need to ban anything else. They could have banned the jungler, but then like they would have limited their options a little bit more now. Um, I'm not sure. The Aurelion Sol ban makes sense. Faker doesn't like to play it. It's a hard pushing lane, so they want to give more control to Faker. So banning Aurelion Sol makes sense. I guess they will pick something that falls like into Faker's favor, or at least like helps him control his lane
Sol, though.
and bot
Okay, but
lane.
now there's a
Bot lane
lot
is
of
their
priority
biggest
picks available.
down
Is he
point,
insta-lock for that
so they
gap?
need to make sure
That
that
was
they
the
control
expected
it.
to see
But
his
by
being
having
banned so much,
Faker
and is the best jungler on the
ahead,
board. But the
they can
question would now
basically use
be,
more resources
with
on
that
bot
Victor
lane.
up,
So it
does
would make
SKT
sense
take
to
it away
put
with an
Faker on a
early pick? Do they
favorable
go something
matchup.
like Ashe Victor here?
All right.
There's your answer.
This is really unexpected from my perspective. Picking Ashe into Olaf is not really what you would be expecting to do, and it means that SKT really wants a comfort pick on bot lane. So Bang is comfortable on Ashe. He likes to play it a lot. He plays it like he prefers it. To most of the AD carries, the only AD carry that he plays as much as Ashe is probably Jhin, and Jhin doesn't work into Olaf properly, so I don't know. Ashe isn't the greatest pick, and it's not what you would expect against Olaf. So securing it means that they really don't want it on Samsung's side now, because Ashe with Olaf is like a huge threat to them, and Samsung would definitely have picked it in the second rotation. But still, it means that SKT now knows they need burst. Like they need to make sure that they can kill the Olaf, and that's why I really like the Victor pick. Like they kind of this way kind of force Samsung into the Cassiopeia, because with Olaf you barely pick too high burst. You mostly pick more continuous damage, and Cassiopeia works really like fine with the Olaf, and it is a good counter pick to Victor. But at the same time, SKT can kind of like calculate now what Samsung's gonna pick, and they can fully focus on heavy burst champions now. So like knowing that the crown will most likely go for Cassiopeia um, is a big plus for SKT, and they picked the burst against the Olaf. So Faker is comfortable playing against Cassiopeia. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he's most likely going to be fine in almost any matchup, even though the matchup would swing to Cassiopeia. Um, the other option would be Orianna, which is not like it makes sense with Olaf, especially because Karma is banned. Um, Having a movement speed option would be good, but I would rather expect a Cassiopeia because simply because Cassiopeia counters Victor a lot more.
Finally.
All right, so what is the reply then? If Ash victory...
So it's like this is a risky situation for SKT because Olaf into Ash is a really strong pick, and picking Ash into Olaf isn't the most common thing you would do. But giving Ash over to Samsung would have been too risky, so picking it is more like a securing option.
is now locked in.
But at the same time, like picking this much burst means they have to get into late game, because against Olaf is so strong in the mid game, they will only start falling off towards the real late game. So it means that SKT really needs to get through the mid game like
which is
this.
something that they found success on before. Maybe they try a bit more of that instead of using the
like with Ash, you now and Victor, you now need something like need more tank options. Like it would make sense to pick the top lane now, and it's most likely gonna be like a Trundle or maybe a Poppy. Jace isn't really on the board right now with the Olaf. It doesn't make too much sense. Poppy would be is like a smart engage pick, while I would prefer the Trundle. Like it gives you more control over the Ash. You have better flanking options, and you can split push a lot harder to make Olaf to give Olaf the options to get deeper into the jungle. Plus it boosts your early game a little bit, because if you pick Poppy now, your early game is not gonna be too strong.
in lane, because SKT so often wins through the mid lane.
So basically the top lane option, okay, are they going for Poppy actually? I would prefer the Trundle pick.
Play from there. I do have to say though, the early pressure of Victor isn't the same that he's been able to output on champions like Orianna. So even if it is Victor versus Cassiopeia, that's not a lane where Victor can take very early control of it, and it does change SKT a little bit.
I really like the Tahm Kench pick. I don't perfectly agree on the Poppy pick now, but I really love the Tahm Kench pick, knowing that they have the Ashe. It really releases lane pressure. It opens up for a lot of, like, with Olaf and Tahm Kench, you can create so nice ganks. It's super creative, and as I said, I'm expecting a Cassiopeia pick. I was expecting it in this rotation actually, to hover a little longer, because I'm pretty sure that SKT was planning on the Cassiopeia pick, so keeping it much longer doesn't make too much sense. And I love the Tahm Kench pick. It gives you so much control. CoreJJ is a great Tahm Kench player, and it has a lot of options. It's not too commonly picked because it can backfire quite a lot, but with this composition, I love it a lot. I would have probably picked Trundle rather than Poppy, because with Tahm Kench you already have a lot more tanky potential, and Olaf is a fairly tanky champion. So Poppy is always a safe option, but it's losing the lane, so it doesn't perfectly make sense.
It's so good against Ashe too, especially.
Yeah, as you said, it's really great against Ashe. I love it.
Yes. Pivot.
It can get you out of so enormously trashy situations. If Ashe gets a good ult, it's always gonna change into really deadly team fights, especially because you now know that SKT will pick burst. Like, you know it by the Ashe pick and the Victory pick against an Olaf, you know that they want enough burst to lock him down instantly, so Tahm Kench is a great pick.
Trying to charge through SKT to the back line.
Yeah, that's like, this is an expected option. They couldn't really go with the Jace. It would have been too squishy, so Trundle is a great pick. It will win the Poppy lane for sure, giving you a lot of pushing potential, and Lee Sin for the burst. Lee Sin again is like probably not the most optimal option now. Picking Lee Sin into Tahm Kench, Poppy, and Olaf means you need to be really comfortable, and it's only for the early game, I guess. It gives it, like, else, like, there's not too much other stuff on the board. Maybe a Zac, but Zac against Poppy is even worse, especially with Tahm Kench. So they kind of like got themselves into not the best jungle picking position. Lee Sin works fine into Olaf. It's like, should be better than Olaf in the early game, especially because Lee Sin can start red a lot more comfortable. which opens up an early ganking option, while Olaf is like almost forced to start at blue side, but still in the mid game, Lee Sin will be like very weak if Samsung makes use of their composition properly. So there wasn't really that many other options. Elise would have been totally worthless in my opinion here, and Lee Sin still like it offers a lot of damage and a good like engage option, but with Poppy, Knockup, and Olaf Ragnarok, it's a risky pick. So they need to make use of this really properly, or they will fall behind in the mid game pretty hard.
Possible Victor and Ashe already very hard to charge through.
So yeah, if they actually lock it,
thinking smart here.
Shen would be possible, but I'm not expecting it because like with Trundle, you always have a split pushing lane. Poppy can't really do anything against it from the early game to the late game, so you have a really consistent lane on top lane. Poppy is stronger in the team fight in the late game. That's what makes it more valuable with the Olaf pick. But I feel like having Samsung and Olaf on Trundle would have made more sense. So yeah, the Cassiopeia pick is kind of expected. Jhin pick actually is too. Like with that front line, you can definitely afford to play Jhin, and it's like SKT with a relatively squishy and low CC, no, not low CC, but low protection value. Backline is kind of a nice pick, high range, not targetable too easily. So Samsung has drafted a pretty nice comp. The only champion I'm not really agreeing on is Poppy. And yeah, now picking Braum really makes sense. Picking Nami would have made that comp too squishy. While Braum is offering good protection against the Jhin as well as against Cassiopeia, so it makes a lot of sense.
A really hard to kill frontline when Cassiopeia and Jhin are the main damage coming out from
Plus
Samsung.
SKT really has a lot of bursts with this comp, like Lee Sin, Victor, and Ashe offer lots of like huge burst potential, and Trundle can easily like get into the backline and create stuff when Olaf and Poppy is rushing in. So SKT has drafted a nice comp too. Like both of the comps obviously are relatively strong. I feel like SKT should have a slight edge in the early game with the Lee Sin pick, which is just super strong, and that means Lee Sin is most likely gonna start red side. So
now, what do we think about these two team
Samsung has to be aware mid lane and bot lane at the start, because that's most likely going to be the Lee Sin target. While with Olaf, he's going to start blue buff, and he will be a little slower than Lee Sin normally. So I'm expecting Olaf to like gank after Lee Sin. Maybe Olaf can create a nice ganking path onto top lane, but it's not really worth it because Trundle will really out farm and out push Poppy after a while. So I feel like it's gonna be an early gank mid or bot lane, and Samsung really needs to be aware of it because Olaf will be a little slower than Lee Sin. Let's hop into the game directly. Well, let me see that I don't forget anything about the tasks. Let me just check real quick. I don't want to miss out on anything. What are their relative strengths at each stage of the game, early, mid, and late game? Alright, before we hop into the game, SKT definitely has an edge in the early game. With Olaf, who needs to scale, and Cassio, who needs a little scaling. The early game, like let's say pre-15 minutes, is gonna swing into SKT's favor normally. From that point on, like when Olaf and Cassio are level 6 or 7, and they have like their first core item finished through, or like their first item option really finished, it's gonna swing into Samsung's favor a little bit. So Samsung should get through the first minutes relatively fine. They should be able to create a lot of pressure in the mid game, secure the dragons. They could make a lot of pressure, especially on bot lane. That should be their target. And Olaf into the Ashe lane after level 6 makes a lot of sense. Should be really secure dives, and like those let's say, yeah, it depends on when they get their item edge. Between 12 and 15 minutes towards 25-30 minutes should be really in favor of Olaf, and it's going to swing back to SKT as soon as they have enough burst gathered together to kind of burst down the Olaf when it's Ragnarking in, while Braum is trying to protect us from the Jhin. So I think it's going to be really like close game. Maybe it's going to swing into Samsung's favor a little, and SKT, like, I mean, obviously everybody knows SKT won the game, but from this point on, SKT, like, the only way that they can really win is by creating a good early game, and then, like, the Lee Sin will fall off a little bit, and it will just come to shine again when they have enough burst to get the Olaf down. So they need to play a very good game with really decent vision control, because if you don't get good vision control, Tam Kench, Olaf, Cassiopeia, they have a lot of like roaming options. Olaf is super fast. Tam Kench can basically teleport him through, and Poppy offers a lot of CC. So um, Samsung has really good options, and the only way SKT can really swing it in their favor is by
both of
like
these teams
pushing
have
through the mid
very,
game
very
with
different backgrounds.
an amazing
But
amount
all
of
of that
control.
feels in some way insignificant right now because of
Alright,
the
let's just
context
skip
of
some of this
this
stuff.
World Championship.
So as expected, Lee Sin red buff, Olaf blue buff,
Touched on this what feels like 5
same
hours ago.
story as normally.
Technically,
Cassiopeia likes an
Faker
early blue buff,
has a
so it's not optimal for
significantly
her,
better
but it's the only way that Olaf can really start.
Again, that helps being on a more winninger team. And we'll see how Faker handles Victor against what is
Yeah,
considered to be
bot
the
lane
world's
is
best.
relatively even.
SKT
Seemingly,
are the
Samsung got the
winningest
push
team in
early,
world's
which
history.
means they will get favorable
And
trades.
all that matters is this one game.
Exactly, and they've also lost more games at this World Championship.
It also kind of offers,
This
like,
is
against the Lee
another
Sin pick,
sixth loss
it is a
was what
risky
happened
thing to
last
do,
game, but still,
because Lee Sin will be
just matters
faster than
how
Olaf
many
normally
games
and will be able to
Crazy to
reach
think
out
that
on
Samsung have lost 3 games to this
on
World
bot lane a little
Championship
earlier.
to get to
Like,
this
Olaf
point.
has a better
It's like
clearing, but
favorable playoff bracket where
Lee
he
Sin,
just
like,
ran through it. Faker this time
he
round
is a little
gets his
faster now,
hands
as
on one of those
expected.
mini Raptors.
Yes,
And
Faker
most
versus the
likely
Mini
from that
Raptors.
position he will swing bot lane,
Success.
because you see
He's
that the mid
technically
lane is
1-2.
pushing,
He's
so
got a
it's
losing
kind of
record against them.
to be
Just
expected
saying.
that Lee Sin
From what
reaches
we've
out on bot lane,
I
who
feel like
is
thought I
having
can.
the push, who is pushing
All right,
towards
there's the first jungler
SKT.
spotted
So
on the ward.
yeah, Olaf
Ambition is
doing a
seen
full
at the
clear.
Raptor camp,
He
and
could have
Vegas
been
moving
there.
on while the mid laner's training.
Who's
Oh,
gonna get it? Crown's looking noxious blast.
Gonna go all in.
yeah, as I said,
We've
Lee
got a
Sin
jump
is faster.
bottom. Ruler is gonna be in trouble. Can
Oh,
score? JJ's running for his life.
yeah, that was pretty close. It's just
Picked
like
up by Wolf.
a lot of stuff happened there.
Raptor camp, and Vegas moving
Right, so Crown is making use of the Cassiopeia early advantage. Like, I feel like Faker isn't really respecting him properly right now. This could have easily turned into free
while
split.
the mid laner's training.
Who's gonna get it? Crown's looking noxious
The
blast.
poison hit again, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like Faker, yeah, they both ghosted, and he might just flash over there. So Bangi is faster there than Ambition, while Ambition could have been there because Faker didn't properly distract him. I don't know. I feel like this is just a misplay from Samsung. Knowing that Ambition isn't there means it's really obvious that Bangi will be there earlier. They have no vision control set up. While they pushed hard, and which they wanted to, but not, now this is like the most expectable situation.
Gonna go all in, kill him.
So Bangi does it really nice, going for Core JJ instead of Ruler, which Samsung didn't perfectly expect. And then the flash, by bank flashing in the security kill. Wasn't necessarily gonna turn out into a kill, but it was a really nice ganking situation, so they played this out really well, and kind of really like towards the strength of their comp. Crown pushing through the early game because of the Faker mistake.
Unbelievable right there. being able to pull off first blood. It goes to Wolf, however, which isn't the greatest distribution of gold.
Oh,
Baker's down
Ambition
both summoner
is
spells.
trying something risky.
Ambition!
He's not
running in,
6.
gravity fields up, that will stun Ambition under the tower.
Yeah, it's not
Kill
worth it.
is secured.
Faker will pick up a kill.
Loses his
Ambition
life.
loses his, like, both of his buffs, and
range
the
there,
big
and he's
wave
gonna be
was
able to
already
take up these
cleared, so
minions.
if he did this before the huge wave hit the tower, probably it would have made sense. Yeah, now it really backfired. Like, he's losing all of his, like, jungle control, but he could have just taken the wolves and then maybe went back to the Gromp because he would have been stronger than Lee Sin. But this, like Faker cleared almost the whole wave, so he picked up a big amount of experience. And Ambition goes way too deep. Like, he should have went out when Faker hit the gravity field, but at the same time the minions are cleared, so this escape is just extremely risky. Yeah, he just got drawn into it. Like, losing both buffs while Lee Sin just, like, he was in base. He could have easily cleared his wolves and the Gromp and would have been ahead. He was level 4 to level 3, so this isn't really a worst thing. And Wolf does a nice roam.
Benki got in experience range there, and he's going to be able to take up
Punishing
these
that.
minions.
Crown had flash used onto Faker earlier, so nicely played, and that's really what SKT needs because they are going to swing back into Samsung's favor. The matchup will be really hard for them in the mid game, so this is extremely important.
Game 5 in the finals, and the
Crown will
action
lose
is
the whole wave
breaking
there.
through. Baker gets a gravity field off to lock.
Some of this stuff. Crown is going to lose like the full mid lane wave. Yeah.
On the
See,
melee support, those are the guys
he
that make
bounced
the
back
roam
already.
plays happen.
We come back to the
It's a
game,
little
and
weird that
Benki
Poppy is
is
actually
still
pushing in the jungle
inside
so
as
heavily.
Samsung's
I wasn't
jungle
expecting that.
recalling
Jungle should
as
have a
he's
really heavy
counter-jungling,
edge in that
has
matchup.
spited Samsung's wolf spirit.
Level 3.
A lot of damage onto Faker.
But Poppy has becoming really strong, especially now too. With the changes in Season 7, it's insanely powerful.
Looking to the underdogs and Samsung Galaxy.
One of the most insulting
Yeah, listen, this was a very smart thing to do. Clearing out the jungle, it takes away a lot of options for the Olaf to hit the power spike faster, and the pink ward gives him a lot of control with the spirits. Means that he will definitely know, like, now Olaf is in bot side jungle, and he will know as soon as he changes sides, and bot lane can now be really aware. So since Olaf is recalling now, they will know exactly where he is. As soon as he enters top side, and like they were just gonna, like, right now they need to be careful, and then they have river control, so they're standing relatively far back. And as soon as Olaf will hit that portion, they can play a lot more aggressively. So see now they have the vision control, and they can start shoving the bot lane. Olaf really has nothing to pick because Lee Sin cleared out the whole jungle. So he's kind of forced to go invade now.
Just started to back away as Dukes completed that teleport. Even
Should be predictable for Lee Sin, so he should be going towards his grounds right now. His golems, and Olaf jungle should be coming to Poppy recall. This is like a risky scenario for Olaf, and it's not smart that they didn't correctly correct this out. That was like a little mistake. He played this so nice over there, he could have just been expecting that invade. Olaf is... Yeah. Oh, this is so impatient. He shouldn't have done this. Like, following this pathing was super smart. Like, he knows, he pings him, he knows Lee Sin will run in there. Lee Sin cleared the ward. He knows it. He's perfectly aware of it. If he would just stay there and wait a little bit. Like, Lee Sin really wants to get the engage on Cassiopeia. Like, she was standing relatively far back. I wish I could go there, but as you can see, she's relatively far back. Lee Sin will most likely go, like, over here, over the wall. I don't know if you can see my mouse actually, but like over the mid lane wall. And if Olaf was just like a little more patient, they could have transited this into an amazing counter gank. And by pushing on early, Lee Sin can just charge back.
I mean, he can
or towards Victor. I don't know. Yeah, he's gonna charge over the wall.
Bengi is going to ward hop over.
So it's sad that he didn't make more, like take more of this. This could have been a really nice play for them.
Too much on the line, too risky. Bang is being pushed
Probably
away.
was
Rula and
going
KJJ
towards
using that ranged poke,
Samsung
using
as
the
expected.
lashes to their advantage.
Like they pick a safe lane for SKT. They pick something that they are really comfortable on. But still, I feel like Samsung simply is playing a better bot lane.
Samsung need to be able to get some advantages in that lane.
Okay, so now Cassio has the blue buff, which he really needs, and should be able to get a little edge over Faker. But like SKT has done this relatively well by keeping Faker in the game in this counter matchup. But even while Samsung tried to kind of shut him down, but I don't know. The Olaf early gank mid lane was really perfect, like trashy mistake. They should have done
over
this.
the Raptors now as Bengi claims the small ones.
Yep, throwing it back and forth.
He doesn't have smite though for the big.
So SKT need to be aware, like in the next minutes, the power spike or Olaf and Cassiopeia will be like intriguing. Like when Cassiopeia finishes an item after building the tier, she will run into like heavy stream. Like as soon as Olaf and Cassio finish their first item, they will definitely be able to make huge plays. So like I was about to say, so SKT should be really careful from now on, and this is so insanely risky. What's he doing there?
Away under their nose.
Holy crap.
He
He didn't expect that to work. Yeah. He's probably gonna die. Oh. Yeah, that was a mistake. He should have like. Of course, playing aggressive on Lee Sin is a nice thing, but this was just really. Yeah, and Rula. That was not what SKT needed.
Bengi makes a big game 5 mistake.
Incredibly
So
bold
Crown is able to
and
heavily push
unwarranted
Faker in
play there from
for the
Bengi
next
to
minutes. Faker
steal
using the
away
ulti.
that red. As you said, Faker was not
He
making
really needs
any
to get
move
out of this.
move
The claws from
and
Crown.
support that
Crown.
play.
He's
Huge
able
punish
to push
there
him
from
in.
Samsung as they're gifted the kill and red buff onto the bottom lane.
So yeah, the mid lane goes towards Samsung from now on, which was to be expected.
In this fifth and final game. So serrated Dirk, a kill under Ruler's belt. And now red
Yeah, this could be a dragon for SK2. Getting this push there was really good. Maybe not the best rotation from Core JJ there. Yeah, with Cassiopeia recalling, which they ping, they will definitely try to get the dragon. Oh yeah. Let's see. Oh no, I thought they would give a little more with the Lee Sin being there. Oh, but his ult was down, so never mind. But yeah, they will, yeah, transfer him to the dragon. Cloud Drake. Cloud Drake is really what SKT needs. Like, Cloud and Thermal Drake is what they need right now, because with their comp, they need to be mobile. Samsung is really quick comp, they have so many rotational options, so giving the Cloud Drake towards SKT offers them a lot more mobility, and that's really what they need right now.
You'd expect just the CS.
Maybe mid lane as they're
So they now have a lot of, like, Samsung has a big amount of control. They know their power spike will come, and they know it's about to strike, so Cassiopeia is working on her item. Olaf finishes jungle item, so this is really when they want to start
and let's talk about the mind games
making
of the
a play.
levels of the vision war for a moment here.
Like,
because
either they try to
they
really
know that Ambition was
chomp
just on
down
the top
Faker right
side,
now,
so you
which
have to
would make a
assume
lot
that
of
there are
sense,
wards in there as well
or they try
and
to
work
make a
around
big
that
play on bot
information
lane, and
as
since
Bengi
they
ran
have
over
the vision
now.
in the bot
Bengi
side
again
jungle, that's
going in
probably
on
where they're
Crown.
gonna
Very
strike.
aggressive, uses full complemented abilities, kicks Crown away, and
Yeah, Cassiopeia was
alright, but there's a lot of exchange going down between Bang and Wolf.
It's a
should
lot
be
of harass
happy.
too. This actually puts him in kill range for
And
Faker.
Lee Sin has no
It-
ult now. I mean, it was
he doesn't recall,
he's
go back to
recalling,
base.
so it was a good
Heal
thing
up
to
a
do,
decent amount,
pushing Cassio a little low.
heal potion and his last hits,
But
so
now Victor and Lee
generally
Sin are
okay
back,
since
so
Victor recalling.
and Olaf is clearing the vision, so it's really, really risky for SKT right now. This is gonna be an interesting situation. The next minutes will really be deciding for SKT or Samsung.
To their opponent.